Hey YouTube, Repo Man 64. We keep watching. We always continue watching. I've been watching for a very long time. I have tried to figure this out for a very long time. Somebody sent me an email. His name's Gino, and showed me a couple of really interesting things that's happened to him over the years. And his latest one is he has a robot lawnmower, and ironically, it was made in Israel. And when he sets it loose, it does its thing. On this particular time, he set it loose. It actually made the fish in the grass, cut out the fish in the grass. That looks like this. It made that symbol in his grass. We have Gina from Gina News in the Discord. Gina has found feathers just all the time, including in winter. When it was snowing and all the birds migrate south, she's still finding feathers. And so I replied to Gino a few minutes ago and told him these are love notes from our groom. He is letting you know that he is coming. Now remember, the groom cannot see the bride before the wedding. So, but I bet you they passed notes to the bride. The groom would pass notes to the bride. He couldn't go in there and see her, but he passed notes to her to let her know that he was still, everything was good and keeping her nerves calm, and they were going to be married soon. And I think these are love notes from God. And a lot of you are getting them. I've seen a lot of comments and everything from people who are getting these love notes from God. I get them too. I'm not real, like numbers and stuff don't jump out at me, but every now and again something jumps out and catches me off guard, and I'm like, that's interesting. So as we're searching for this date, none of us have been correct. You know that. A lot of you tell me that and remind me that in the comment section. We have been 100% wrong 100% of the time. But I think the journey on our way to try to figure this out has been an amazing journey. I can promise you that I could have read that Bible 100 times, 1,000 times, and not learned as much as I have from watching the other YouTubers out there trying to figure out this date. I've learned from so many of them. I can't even begin to name them all because I have 140 that I follow. Knock the camera around. And you do too. You're watching, and I want to come on here and tell you the date. I really do. But it's the journey. It's like you're going across country to a destination to visit grandma, but it's the journey on the way there that's the most important, the most memorable. It's all the things you did on your way there. And that's what this is. We're developing, as we go, a closer relationship with our groom. He is on his way. There are too many evidences to state that he's not on his way. A lot of watchers are calling out for Passover, as am I. I looked at the Enoch timeline, but then it dawned on me, first of all, we didn't know which event would tie to the rapture. And there is a consensus that it is Passover. Then we didn't know what calendar to use to tie to it. We have the Enoch timeline, which is the one I've been looking at, which the dates appear before everyone else's. And it showed the 3rd and also the 6th, which is today at 10:45 p.m. on the Enoch timeline, using the equinox instead of the equilux like I did use. Tonight is a very high watch time for me at 10:45. And it's going to happen just like it did for Moses at Mount Sinai when the people heard God speak. They said it was loud like a trumpet. Didn't hurt Moses' ears. It was music to his ears. But the people told Moses, we cannot stand how loud that is. It hurts our ears. And can you please, tell God to speak to you directly and then come tell us what he says because we can't hear him. The same thing that's going to happen on Rapture Day. There's going to be a loud trumpet blast. And some people it's going to hurt their ears, and some of us, I am going to run outside. I am going to run outside like a child and looking up, and I my heart's going to be beating 1,000 miles an hour, and I don't even know if I have time to run outside, but I'm going to attempt to. I won't pick up anything on my way out the door. Whatever I stay clothed. I don't sit around my house without any clothes on. So, me personally, I'll be running outside fully clothed, but I'm going to run straight outside, and I'm going to look up, and the sound of that trumpet is going to be music to my ears, just like it is to anybody who's the bride and watching for this event and dreaming of this event and just can't wait for this moment to happen. So I want to tell you that these things like Gina's feathers and Gino, that's weird, Gina and Gino. Huh. Just put that together in my head. There's a little confirmation for me. They are seeing things, and I mean, who can do that? A robo mower. He buys this robo mower. He finds out it's actually made in Israel, and it cuts out an image of that in his lawn, on about an acre-sized lawn, and he's taken 3 pictures of it and sent it to me in the email, and I was like, it's there. And then he's got another picture on the sidewalk of a pine needle that's turned itself into also that sign. He took a picture of that on the sidewalk, and I said, your groom is sending you notes. We're about to fly. So I want to get on here and tell you the date. I really do. I've been looking for a long time. But the thing is, is that really fair? Is it fair? Somebody 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, that thought they had it figured out, and they were just dreaming of this happening. So much so that they put it in a book, they wrote it down, they said, this is it, this has to be it, and they were wrong. And what do? I've never done it, by the way. I don't do it. But what do? We ridicule them, we laugh at them, they were wrong. They weren't wrong. This event is going to happen. This event is going to happen. There's no stopping this event. What side of this event do you want to be on? That's up to you. But this event is going to take place. Exactly when? I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. I personally feel like the trumpet blast is going to be our warning that this event is going to take place, and that's going to be our warning. We're going to get close to figuring it out. Like I said, the consensus is Passover. Exactly what calendar are we supposed to use? I don't know. But what if, I want to show you something that I found on my own timeline. I didn't even know it was there. What if, and we believe there's 3 raptures. We believe there's a bride that leaves. And we believe after 3.5 years, the church, the sleepy church, is going. And then we believe 3.5 years later, the Jew is going to be raptured. So that being said, if we have a rapture event in Passover, how do you have a rapture event in 3.5 years when that would land sometime in September? And that's what I found on my own timeline, and I was a little taken back by it, and I said, maybe we can come close. And I want to give, and I really want this video to go to the tribulation saints, or the saints of the tribulation. I really want the video to go to them, because here's what's happening next. After this event happens and we're gone, the sleepy church is going to become, the revival of the sleepy church is going to be incredible. You think I'm researching, or anybody who's researched in the last 1,000 years, will not even begin to compare to what they're going to do after we're gone. All these YouTube videos are going to be golden. That's why I say to please like, share, and subscribe to the video, because these things need to be out there for them, not necessarily mine. If you don't like my videos, that's fine. Subscribe to any number of the other videos to get the numbers up, the subscriptions up, so that these videos can be found after we're gone. And I want to tell you, the saints who are stuck here, that you have to go through this event, Sleepy Church. I want to tell you that 3.5 years from now, you're gone. Now, when this event takes place, you're going to know what calendar to use, because every single one of us is using a different calendar. We don't know which one to use. We're not supposed to, I don't think. I really don't think we're supposed to know which calendar. But whatever event it took place, count 3.5 years. You're going after that. Keep searching. You're going to have a better grasp on time than we do. We're trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, when that trumpet sound blasts off, you know, and the deception that's coming after that to convince you that this was not the rapture is going to be so intense. Keep your mind on these YouTube videos and these researchers, and they're amazing. Dr. Barry, there's just so many of them. I don't even want to name them. There's so many of them. The Cataclysm, Tony, he gets more insight or more love letters from God than anyone I've ever seen. All the time he gets these things. God is telling him, hang in there. I'm coming. Just relax, you know. So, you know, I mean, I wanted to show you, actually, I wanted to tell you to watch he's going to be mad at me. I'm going to forget his name. I'm terrible on the spot of remembering things. I'm getting old, so it's hard to remember stuff. Ken Potter. Sorry about that, Ken. Go watch Ken Potter's latest video. Or one of the latest videos, but he goes in there and discusses. He has a very interesting video on when the rapture could take place. So this is what we're all looking forward to, but none of us have been through this event. But once it happens, now you have a timeline, and I want you to, once you see this video and after we're gone, I want you to stay strong. You're going to go through this period of time, but remember, Noah went through the tribulation, but Jesus protected them through it. They were in the ark. Jesus represents the ark. And God shut the door, and they were protected through this event. And I want you to stay strong through that event, and don't let them deceive you as to what's going on. Don't receive that mark. I believe the mark comes out 3.5 years in and is offered to the Jew, but I'd have to research that. I know it's not now. Time just proved that. It's just this thing that came out is simply not it. So anyway, I wanted to show you a few things and get off here and point out a couple of things that I have put together here. As you know, on the Enoch timeline, we have passed the April 2nd. You can see down here, this is when Jesus resurrects to eternal life on April the 2nd, which is Nisan 17. On the Enoch timeline, using the equinox. If we use the Enoch timeline, again, using the equinox as the first day of the year, which would have been March 20th, and we go forward and count, like I said before, you can move these dates. The Gregorian dates are irrelevant. The dates that are the Jewish dates, or the Hebrew calendar dates, are always accurate. None of these are wrong. So we're going to apply April 6th to Nisan 17 now, using the equinox. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just saying tonight at 10:45 Eastern Standard Time on the Enoch calendar, using the equinox as our first day, that will be April the 6th. So that's very interesting. Now, remember, 3.5 years from whenever this event takes place. We don't know for sure. But from whenever this takes place, remember the 10 virgins. They were all virgins. They were all saved, but 5 of them had oil. 5 of them were brides, and 5 of them were wives. The 5 brides had oil. The 5 wives left to buy oil. They had work to do. The 5 brides had their oil, and while the 5 wives had left to go buy oil to do their work, the 5 brides, somebody knocked at the door, the trumpet blasted, and they were gone. And then when the 5 wives returned, they were not let in because God says, "I knew you not." Again, a term of intimacy. Knew you not. They were not wives yet. At that moment, they were still virgins. They were still going to be saved, but they had work to do. They had to go through tribulation. This group of people, very clearly, the Bible teaches it abundantly clearly, that they have work to do, that they will have to not receive the mark. They will have to continue to focus. Jesus is the only way to heaven. That is done. That's done. There's only one way into heaven, and that's through Jesus. However, the bride does not do anything to get there. Nothing. We are Barabbas. We stand there quietly while Jesus takes our place. We don't know why, but we are as dirty, filthy rags as Barabbas is. But then you have the thief on the cross who has to ask. He had to ask in order to be saved. Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. He was supposed to wake up with Rachel. He woke up with Leah. Leah was an image or a picture of the saint. Leah was a picture of the bride, and Rachel was a picture of the saint, and had to wait 7 days or 7 years to give Leah her due, her time. So, but here's something very interesting that I noticed. Okay, so we go through all these events, which again are accurate to the Hebrew calendar. They are very accurate to the Hebrew calendar, not the Gregorian. I don't know. This is the one I've been working on, but I can't verify or guarantee. Obviously, we passed the Equilux Passover, so we're looking at the Equinox Passover at this point. And then next we're going to look at the first sliver of the moon that appears after the equinox, which will be on April I think it just happened, April the 4th or 5th, I think it was the 4th when it appeared. So what do we do from that moment? We count 14 days. That'll be the day Jesus goes to the cross. From that moment of the first sliver of the moon appearing, and then 3 days later, Jesus rises. He will always rise on Nisan 17. That's biblical. It's not going to be changed. But the Gregorian date will be April, like Dr. Barry uses that first sliver of the moon after the equinox, and he uses that first sliver to show that that's the first day of the year. So 14 days, 17 days after that is when Jesus resurrects. And again, a lot of us are very interested in the Passover as a perfect rapture scenario. So that's what we're looking at. So here we are, Nisan 17. Next, right now we're looking at April 6th, tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next, we're looking at April 15th or 16th. I don't remember what Dr. Barry Oss said. Again, first sliver of the moon after the equinox. Then we have another calendar that others are using. They refuse to use the first sliver of the moon after the equinox because the sun still is not in Aries. I'm not sure about that. I know in biblical times the sun was in Aries, but remember I've showed in the past, if you go to Stellarium yourself and put in the date of 33 AD, you'll see that the sun on March 17th in 33 AD is in fact in Aries. Today you will find it in the two fish, the rapture fish. They are I'm going to forget that too real quick. Anyway, Pisces. Sorry, they are in Pisces. The sun is in Pisces on the same exact date, but 2,000 years later. The sun has moved 30 days out of place. How did that happen? What's that 30 days represent? Does anybody remember a story in the Bible where a man is on a long journey and he's 30 days away. You can celebrate the second Passover 30 days later because a man on a long journey. And I have this second Passover, and it's always confused me. I've seen it for a long time now. I've been looking at this second Passover. It just drops right in the center of the cross and Jesus ascending. And I'm just like, why is it there? Why is it there? You have the second Passover being Iyar 14, and of course Jesus rising on Iyar 17. What happens when you go back? And again, we've mirrored this before. What's back here in exact relation to where the first of the year used to be on Tishri 1? That used to be the Jews are still looking at Tishri 1 as Feast of Trumpets and their new calendar year. They still do it. Even though Jesus, same thing, told Moses, this now will be the beginning of your year. The beginning of your year will be Nisan 1. Okay? There's a debate on when Nisan 1 is, but that's fine. This will be the beginning of your year. What happens when you overlay the second Passover to what the beginning of the year used to be? Iyar 17, 3 days after, Passover starts on a date and ends 3 days later, just like here. It starts on Nisan 14, ends on Nisan 17. The second Passover was started on Iyar 14 and on Iyar 17. Let's go back here to the overlay. What happens on the second month? And remember, it's the second month and 17th day. 30 days later, what happens? Over here, second month, 17th day. Okay, over here. First year is the 7th month. There's the second month and the 17th day. The flood begins, just like the days of Noah. The second Passover lines up perfectly with Heshvan 17. Again, these numbers are biblical. The Hebrew calendar is biblical numbers. I'm assigning it a Gregorian date, but it's not necessarily correct. But that's why here's what I think. Look at this. We have a rapture event taking place here as Jesus rises and the dead in Christ rise with him. What date do we start it at? I'm not sure. We have another rapture event, the second Passover, but even though it's here, it overlays back here. Heshvan 17, the date the flood began, second month, 17th day. You ever wonder why it's the second month, 17th day? Well, it's the second Passover. And then finally, here, Jesus ascends on May 18th. I had somebody send me something, I'm trying to recall their name, something asking me about April 18th. And I said, I'm not sure. April 18th is back here, but there's not much going on from what I can see unless you slide the calendar down because of those of the different, Gregorian dates. But here, what I see is May 18th as Jesus ascends. What if we have all three rapture events? Now, remember, the Luke is the bride. Luke group is the bride. That's why the three Gospels are different, because it's speaking to a different group of people. Luke is speaking to the bride. Mark is speaking to the lukewarm Christian, and Matthew is speaking to the Jew. What if all three rapture events actually are right here, and we're just confused on which event within this 50-day period from the cross to Jesus ascending? What if it's one of these three events and we just don't know which one? That was a thought that came to me. And also, so you have three events, and then of course you have John, which speaks to the 144,000, which I think they're going to be changed as soon as the bride is changed, but they stay here to help their people. And you have also three different calendars. So we have three different rapture events, three different calendars. We don't know which one to assign to which one. It's like a combination lock. You got to get the right combination to know, when things are going to happen. So this is me in March 17th, the first day of the year. We know that Jesus went to the cross, and we cannot tell which date it was. People go back and forth. Was it the 29 BC? Was it 33 BC? So we have here, but we do know the Bible tells us in the ninth hour, which is 3 p.m. Again, 3 p.m. translates to our time of, what would that be, 3 p.m., 9, 10, I think, 10 p.m. to Eastern Standard Time. So we're right in the window there tonight if it were going to happen. Another preferred date among scholars is Friday, April 3rd, 33 A.D., as when Jesus went to the cross. Again, I've been watching for a very long time. I was there in 88 for 88 reasons why the rapture should happen in 88. And before I go any further on that concept, the journey I've had over the last 35 years and the disappointment I've had in the date coming and going and passing, I'm glad I've gone through it. It tickles me when I hear a Christian that's been a Christian for a year or two going, "Oh, I can't stand it anymore. When's it going to happen?" I've been watching for a long time. I've been watching for so long. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. But the journey, and let me tell you something. I've met some brand new Christians that have been Christians for a year that I'm learning from, and I'm like, wow, God's just pouring His Holy Spirit out on these people. He's just pouring out His Holy Spirit like He never has before, and it's like these people finding these things. It's love notes that God's sending, so I've never heard of all this stuff that's going on as I have lately, so keep watching and don't get hung up on a date. As much as I want to be the guy to say, this is it, this is the date, boom, go outside at this time, this is going to happen, Amos 3:7 says He's going to tell the bride, I'm not the only bride. I'm a part of the body. There's so many of us. You think He's going to tell me to tell you? No. This is His surprise. But on the journey, on our way there, we learn so much. It's been such a fantastic time I've had. I literally want this to be my last video, honestly. I just want to go home. I've been waiting for so long, but it's okay because every time I'm like, really? I got to keep waiting? Something more amazing comes out on this timeline, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is fantastic. And then I hear somebody, I just got saved last week because of this YouTube video over here and that, and I'm talking to people who've been saved for longer than I have going, yeah, this event. I feel like now it's going to happen. A lot of people are feeling it's about to happen, and it has nothing to do with. It has everything to do with us going through and trying to figure it out because we're becoming more intimate with our Creator, our God that wrote the Bible. That when we read it, we are blessed and we are made stronger as a result of that, and we draw closer. Our oil is filling up as we do it. So keep on reading and keep on watching and verify anything any passage anybody says. I do it every time. Every time somebody says a passage, I'm like, pause, and then I'll go read the passage, and you get to learn. That's what I do as well, and I'm still learning. It doesn't matter how long like I said, I know people that have been a Christian for a few months and have just blown me away with some things they've said, and I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. So God is pouring out His Spirit on the body and all flesh, and people are seeing things now that they've never seen before. There's been some amazing pastors back in the day that can't hold a candle to the things we've learned today because the books are being opened. We're seeing things in them that we never saw before, and it's amazing how far we've come with the knowledge and understanding of what's going on. Okay, let me go back to this. I'll talk your heads off. Sorry about that. All right, so 88 reasons why the rapture's in 88. I was there for that. I wanted you to notice something about this calendar in 88. And what I did was I went through the calendar from back then and found every single time that April the 3rd, which is the date they're saying that Jesus went to the cross, April the 3rd, and they said that When was that? The consensus was April the 3rd, 33 AD, highlighted down there at the bottom. Another preferred date among scholars, is Friday, April the 3rd. Now, I wanted to find out how often this happened. Well, in 1988, when this 88 Reasons for 88 came out, April the 3rd lands on a Sunday. Okay? Here in 1994, the very next time, 1994, 6 years later, in 1994, Harold Camping writes a book with a question mark now. They ridiculed him, but he put a question mark there because he doesn't really know. But 1994, he comes out with this book, and I was there. And guess what? April the 3rd lands on a Sunday again. It does not happen again until 2005. We go 11 years before April the 3rd lands. You can go check yourself. Just go to your calendar. You can see it yourself. April the 3rd lands on a Sunday in 2005. But I don't have there was no rapture, and there was somebody that might know something more than me. Was there a rapture event, or something that said, "Hey, this is going to happen in 2005"? I don't recall, but it's possible. Here he is again, Harold Camping, May 21st, 2011, Passover again. Again, 2011, April the 3rd, lands on a Sunday again. We go forward. Now that's, how far is that? That is 6 years. 6 years. Here we go, 5 years. Again, April the 3rd lands on a Sunday in 2016. Is there an event that happened in 2016? Because I don't have anything. Doesn't mean that there was something, somebody said this is the year of the rapture. I don't know. 2022, this year, April the 3rd, lands on a Sunday. And again, it could be any date on this calendar, but this is what I was looking at the time, how it lands on April the 3rd again. Remember back there where the consensus was that Jesus went to the cross on April the 3rd, or rose on April the 3rd. I think that's what it said. Hold on. Let me go back there real quick. Now, another preferred date among scholars is Friday, April the 3rd. So that's when he goes to the cross. All right, 2022. 2033, 11 years later. 11 years from now, April the 3rd. We have the same Gregorian calendar, 11 years later in 33 AD. If Jesus went to the cross in 33 AD, that's when he wraps it all up, and that's when, if you use the Gregorian calendar, I don't know, but I'm just stating that that's 11 years, and that is the date that Jesus went to the cross in 33 AD, and he said he would return after 2,000 years. Now, the return he's speaking of is not the rapture. He's speaking of the event of when he comes down to earth to rule this planet in 33 AD. We're looking at 7 years, bringing us to 2029. I'm just saying this lines up with 33. Here it is again, 2039, April the 3rd, and 2044. It just keeps going. Here we are. If it was 33 AD, then April the 3rd does not land on a Sunday. Here. In 29 AD it does. So do we know if Jesus went to the cross in 33 AD or perhaps 29? A lot have heard a lot saying 29 AD. 29 is perfect because if we rapture out of here in 2022, we have 7 years for the tribulation. And if we rapture out of here, that still holds true to Jesus coming back to rule and reign for 1,000 years after 2,000 years from the cross. And if he went to the cross in 29 AD, then this would be more likely to be the date that he would return for the Jew and to rule over the country. I read this on Facebook. I hope I can use it. Sorry, Chelsea, if I can't, but you posted publicly, so I'm going to use it. This is her words. The hardest thing I have ever went through is holding on to my faith that Jesus. Now, this is her writing this. Holding on to my faith that Jesus is coming. through the mockers and scoffers. Though the time that passes each day through through the enemy constantly in our ears causing doubt, through the roller coaster of emotion in our flesh, I just want you to know that I've been battling this too. You are normal. Jesus actually already knew the struggle would be real for us. He expects it. That's why the word says, when we become faithless, he remains faithful. So even though we go through a whirlwind of emotions, we have our up days where we are excited and our faith is endless. And when we are down, questioning everything and hanging on by a thread, we can take his promise to the bank. And we know it because our spirits testify to the truth. We cannot deny it. He really is coming. Hang in there. We're almost there. I wanted to show you here on March 17, 2022, where the sun is. Now let me show you something else. On March 17, 33 AD, it's coming into Aries. The Bible indicates Aries, but I think that might be wrong because now they're calling for a June rapture because the sun will be in Aries at that time. But look at it. Look what the sun did. It moved 30 days out of place in the last 2,000 years. Find that interesting. Maybe the sun is not supposed to be in Aries. Maybe Dr. Barry is correct. It will be the first sliver of the moon after the sun, after the equinox. And that date for him, I think he said, was April the 3rd or 4th. And then we start counting. 17 days from there is when Jesus rises, Passover. So I wanted to point that out. This is where the sun would have been on April the 17th in 33 AD. See, it would have been way past Aries at that point. So it had to have been back here in March, back then, 2,000 years ago. This is where the sun will be on April the 17th, 1 month later. If you go by that calendar, then we have to go and look at May as when Passover is. So we're still working on that. Oh, I was at the store. Look at this. Life magazine. I was at the store. I had to take a picture of this. They're selling candles there with Jesus on it, and they have they are giving him credit. Is the Holy Spirit not being poured out in these last days? Is the Holy Spirit not being poured out when Life magazine portrays Jesus in a positive way? Look at that. How his lessons, miracles, and devotion changed the world. Even the devil knows what Jesus has done. Even the devil knows. Even the devil cannot deny what Jesus has done. Nobody can. They can try and attempt to villainize Jesus, and I've heard them try, but it doesn't hold, it doesn't stick. He can't. He was innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. He came here to die on a cross for our wretched sins. End of discussion. He didn't deserve what happened to him. He left his rightful place. He didn't even have to complete it, and nobody would have questioned him. If he decided, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to become a human and let them these people that I created torture me and kill me on a cross. I'm not going to do that, and nobody would have questioned him. With a snap of his finger, he could have ended all this and restarted it. I want you to remember something. Satan is jealous, but Satan's not very bright. God created the angels, and Satan being the most glorious, to worship him because they were created. God created us to worship him because we were saved. Every knee will bow. God's everything. He created everything. He created all of it. So it's not like you're going to be on a cloud with playing a harp and saying, God, you're the greatest, and that's your whole eternity. That's not, no, you're going to be walking along going, wow, that's a beautiful waterfall. And that's praising God because God created it. This food tastes fantastic. You know, I think manna in heaven must have tasted like wow compared to when it fell to this sinful planet. And they ate it, and it was healthy for them, but they got bored with it. But I wanted to tell you that when we're in heaven And God has these two groups of people, or these two groups. One group will worship him because he created them, and he's worthy of that worship because he created them. The other group, which is us, will be worshiping him because he saved us. He saved us. We sinned, and that's a fact. We do it every single day. That's a fact. You can't deny that. You can't blame Adam and Eve. You sin every day. What happens to us, we deserve. But he saves us. So we will be so eternally grateful, and I mean for eternity. We will never forget what he's done for us. In spite of ourselves, he did go to that cross. He did let us do all those horrible things to him, even though he didn't deserve any of it, and he did it all for us. When we get to heaven, and the Satan is cast away now, none of that's happening. The rest of the angels in heaven are so grateful that they were created, and all of us are there, and so grateful that we were saved. I wonder if there's not another group that will worship God in a different way, not because of creation, not because of salvation, but because of another thing that I can't quite see right now. You see what I'm saying? Satan misunderstood what God was doing because he's not God. He couldn't understand what God was doing and why God was doing it. He got jealous because mankind was going to be there too. He made a huge mistake. We weren't there to replace him. We weren't there to replace Satan. We were there to complement the angels. We will worship, but in our way. They can never worship because of salvation. They can't. They can't be saved. There was a passage that I read in Enoch where the angels went to Enoch and said, go talk to God and see if we can be a part of the salvation program. And God said, no, you were created to worship me. Mankind was created to be saved. That's the difference. Remember that. And when it comes down to the next group, I think every angel that's in heaven, that will be in heaven with us, including us, God does not have to explain himself to us. When he comes out with that next group, remember, we're eternally saved. We are eternally changed. We eternally cannot sin, eternally. So there will be none of us that will be jealous in any kind of way of, and we'll understand also. Saved people will understand so much more than created people. We ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We know and understand so much more. And so when this next group comes out, there won't be any resistance. Whatever group that is, if there is another group, I don't know. To me, it makes sense that there would be. I think it's going to be something, just something completely that I don't understand yet, but I know for a fact that none of us will be jealous or upset over that next group. So remember that when you're thinking about Satan, he's just a jealous child. He has no power over you. You have the Holy Spirit in you. He can't touch you. He runs from you when you speak about Jesus. You keep talking about Jesus. Stand strong. Keep researching and watching these videos. Be strong because, and that's my encouragement to you, not a date. That's not what I'm trying to tell you here. Don't look for a date. Stay strong because you're filling your lamp up with oil. And again, go to your favorite YouTuber. Doesn't have to be mine. Could be anybody's. And subscribe. You watch all these. You subscribe to all of them. I've subscribed to 140 of them. Some of them I'm not real, some of them don't resonate with me in my age group. They just don't. But I stay subscribe to them because I want somebody to find my YouTube and then find theirs and then find another one and then find another one. So subscriptions doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't help me in any kind of way. It just kind of opens up some more things in YouTube for me to do. I don't sell anything. I don't make a dime off of this. I never have. I never will. But what it does for me and what interests me more than anything is that a saint finds this during the 7-year period, which is about to happen. It is about to happen. Mathematically, we cannot go much further than Israel becoming a nation. We have a promise in the Bible, and the Bible is true, always true. If we've misunderstood that passage, I don't know. I don't think so, but I believe that we're right on the cusp of this rapture. Could happen at any moment. There's just too much evidence flying around right now to ignore this event. So, anyway, Repo Man 64, go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody except the Lord into your heart. We were running out of time. If you don't do it now, just remember, saints, during the tribulation, don't listen to the lies. We're here on these YouTube videos, all of us. Every single one of these YouTubers that I've watched are here concerned about you during that period of time, and we want you to have these videos so that you can not accept the mark, that you will do the work you need to do during the tribulation, and we will see you in heaven in a few short years after that. For us, it'll be like a blink of an eye, but for you, it's going to be you're stuck here on this planet in time. But we'll see you then. All right, Repo Man 64.